As I sat down to write this homily, I was reminded of that bad Burt Reynolds movie, The End. His character is trying to end it all and swims further and further out into the ocean until he's completely exhausted. He takes a huge breath and slips under the surface of the water. But after about 30 seconds, he resurfaces screaming, "I want to live! I want to live!" Then he looks at the beach, so far away, and he promises God, "If you get me back to shore, I'll follow every one of the commandments. I'll give you half of everything that I earn, and I'll be a better husband and father." Unfortunately, by the time he's almost back to the beach, those promises have changed. "I won't cheat anyone ever again," right after I unload that swampland. "And I'll start giving you that 10% right away." Like Burt Reynolds' character, how quickly do we turn to God when we need something? But as soon as things are better, we go back to the way things used to be. If prayer doesn't matter, then why does Jesus tell us to pray always without becoming weary? And if prayer is that important, why don't we do better? It all comes down to one question: why do we pray? St. John Damascene notes two reasons when he said, "Prayer is a raising of one's mind and heart to God, or the requesting of good things from God." Let's look at these separately. First, prayer is a raising of one's mind and heart to God. It connects us with God. It's a daily retreat to be with the one who is closer to us than we are to ourselves. Before formation, I would say that I had a fairly haphazard prayer life. Sometimes I'd go to the shrine and pray the rosary. Sometimes I'd go sit in the adoration chapel. Sometimes I'd go to a spiritual talk and reflect in the church afterwards. The bottom line, though, is I was trying to fit prayer into my life rather than building my life around prayer. The first thing I was given when I entered formation was a Christian prayer book, and Debbie and I began praying the Liturgy of the Hours together. It gave much needed structure to my prayer life. I noticed an inner peace developing. I noticed a stronger resistance to temptation. I noticed God working in my life. I noticed that instead of building my day, trying to fit prayer into it, I was building my day around prayer. We all probably wish we were perfect prayers, but unfortunately, life happens. Maybe we get up late for work and we run out the door without saying morning prayer. Maybe we're working around the house and fall asleep on the couch before remembering evening prayer. Maybe we're working on church activities and somehow prayer gets missed. Yes, even God's work can get in the way of our prayer. We need to do both. Now, missing prayer, that connection with God, it's just the crack that the devil needs to get into our heads. It's not that big a deal. You'll catch it next time. Next thing you know, you sit down for morning prayer on Friday and your book is still set for Tuesday. Missing prayer destroys that inner peace. It weakens our resistance to temptation, and it makes life seem so frantic. That's why Jesus tells us we must pray always without becoming weary. Now let's look at the second part of that definition. Prayer is requesting good things from God. Jesus gives us an excellent example in that parable. A lowly, powerless widow seeks a just decision from a self-centered judge, and her persistence gets her that decision. I want to focus on one small point. Why does she go to the judge? The bottom line, she believes that he can and will be able to do something for her. This is the same reason that we request good things from God through prayer. We believe that he can and will give us what we need. Jesus confirms this in the gospel. I tell you, God will see to it that justice is done for you speedily. Why do we pray? Our faith is nurtured by our prayer, raising our minds and hearts to God. Our faith is also expressed by our prayer. We believe that God can and will give us what we need. So when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on earth? He will if we pray always, without becoming weary.